Okay, bear with me on this craft, everyone, because usually when I start a project, I have a clear direction of where I'm going. I may not have like all of my decisions on the final touches sorted out, like what color of ribbon or other small embellishment I'm going to use, but I generally know what I'm making. But on this craft, that could not have been further from the truth. I started by wanting to give a texture effect to this 3-section wooden pumpkin cut out from Dollar Tree using cardboard, and I ended up making a wreath, and here's how that happened. So I just took a piece of computer paper and pressed it over those 3 sections of that pumpkin and cut them out to make a template that I then traced onto some cardboard. You want to use corrugated cardboard because that's where your texture is going to come from. I saw something on Pinterest that inspired me that looked like it was made with this, or maybe it was made with corrugated scrapbook paper, I'm not sure, but I decided to go for it. So after I had traced my template out and then cut out my 3 sections of cardboard, I then separated the layers of cardboard. So to do that, I just used a pen blade. I found that easiest if you have any other tool that you'd want to use, or even like a safety pin to help kind of peel away just that top layer, but you want to leave the wavy corrugated center part intact, and that's what's going to give us our texture on this pumpkin. And then once I had separated all of my cardboard layers, which took longer than I thought it would, but I got it done, I just stained with this DecoArt wood tint, I think in walnut, I'm not sure. It was like a really dark wood tint just on the separating dividing lines between the 3 sections. I also layered in some olive green acrylic craft paint just to make it not as brown. You could probably skip that step, but then I used that same olive green craft paint to paint my 3 sections of cardboard. And so you just want to give a solid coat of green paint to each piece of cardboard. And yes, they will maybe start to wrinkle up a little bit, but that's not a big deal because we're going to glue them back down. And then I also distressed them a little bit with just a piece of a clean dish sponge, which has been my go-to. Sometimes I feel that using a piece of a clean dish sponge is easier than doing the dry brush method with a paintbrush, just depending on the project. But I think this was my folk art home decor chalk paint in the color Parchment. It's just like a nice off-white color. And then once all that paint had dried, I applied a nice coat of Eileen's tacky glue. You could use E6000, even Elmer's school glue I'm sure would work. And I just spread everything out with a brush. I was pretty generous with the glue. And then just set each piece of cardboard right in place where they belong on the pumpkin. Then to finish off the pumpkin, I just hot glued some raffia around the stem. Now this takes a little while, and be sure to use that silicone fingertip protector because that'll save your fingertips here. But just wrap that raffia all the way around the pumpkin stem and kind of secure it with just a tiny dab of hot glue as you go. And so as I was wrapping the stem with raffia, I'm like, what am I gonna do with this pumpkin cutout? Like I can only stick pumpkin cutouts in so many places in my house. And I have this cheese box that's sitting in the corner of my craft room, and it holds Christmas ribbons and miscellaneous Christmas supplies. And it's just been staring at me, waiting for the right project. And today that right project came along. So I just took the lid off this cheese box, and I think I got this at a thrift store, like check thrift stores, garage sales, but it's just a wooden circle that I flipped upside down, and I knew I did not want to do anything permanent to this cheese box lid because it's like a really good box, right? And I want to be able to use it for other projects. So everything that I did to the wood on this was just temporary. So I made a cardboard liner for the bottom rim of the lid so that everything that I was going to hot glue down ended up getting hot glued to the cardboard piece. So I wasn't hot gluing directly onto the wood. And then I secured that cardboard piece into the rim of the wooden lid with some heavy duty double-sided sticky tape. So I got this on Amazon. I think it's just like really heavy duty double-sided, or like you could use carpet tape, just something really strong that's gonna stick but isn't gonna do permanent damage to the wood. And then from here, I just had fun embellishing. I'll probably just speed this up and probably play music for you guys so you can just watch, but I just added a bunch of raffia and some faux greenery. And then I had in my craft stash some pine cones and some faux acorns that I added in as well. I just had fun creating like a little bed of greenery and raffia for my pumpkin to sit in. But then it was time to get the pumpkin to stick to the lid without it falling over when I hung it up. So for that, I just grabbed a couple of tumbling tower pieces and that same heavy-duty double-sided tape, and I stuck that to the back of the pumpkin, and that created a little riser so that the pumpkin would sit nicely and stick to my cheese box lid. Then to hang it up, Dollar Store sells this wired jute rope stuff. It's just a natural material cord with floral wire running through it. I just wrapped that around the lid, gave it a few twists at the top, and then I hung it up. So a super unique door hanger, fall wreath. And then just to be a little extra, after I made my little garland out of paper bags, I decided to drape that over the door hanger, and I thought that gave it a really extra special touch and looked really nice together.